Yo, 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 what's up? What's going on? What's good, everybody? That's right, it's the Boxing Source here with y'all. And I got a special guest with me to jump off the show, right? Of course, competing in the featherweight division.
hmm
Straight out of Barbados, the 246,
hmm
here residing in the DC area. Y'all know him, y'all have seen him and heard him on the Boxing Source for years now. So y'all familiar with him. It's the soldier. Check it in.
Checking in, man. Appreciate
Kobe, a soldier breeding. What's going on, my man?
man. Everything is good, man. First of all, I want to give my condolences to Dusty and his family for his passing of his dad. Um, it's very sad news, and I want to send all my prayers out to them. I'm praying for them, and I know it's hard, and and too much I can say on it, but it's sad, and what I mean. My condolences.
Yeah, man. That news like rocked me this morning. I was just doing my thing on Saturday like it's a regular Saturday, and then I wake up and hear the news about Buddy Harrison and and the stuff that went down, and I'm like, my goodness, man! Like you got all this, you had everything going on with Dusty. He was going to be coming back to the ring. He hadn't been in the ring in a while. He was, working on cutting things, cutting weight down to be part of the card October 1st, and then this happens, and I'm like, man, this is just
It's sad.
like terrible, man, terrible,
I
and it's like I was saying, I was talking with one of the folks with the PR for Beltway Battles Round 3, and we say with the news that they're still gonna go forward with the card. All the fighters that are also involved in the card will be still part of the card, and they'll see about doing a memorial segment there for Dusty's father there, and you still have your fight against Suleiman Sagawa rematch coming up here October 1st. It's going to be at the Entertainment and Sports Arena in Washington D.C. And I know you're looking forward to that particular bout because I was there for the first bout, and you were doing your thing in there, and they all of a sudden just wanted to stop the bout and declared a no contest when we saw what the situation was over on the corner for Suleiman Sagawa. So I know that you're ready to get back at it and get back at him for this rematch.
Yes, for sure. First of all, I want thanks to Rising Star Promotions. I want to give a shout out to Dusty and his team, my team, Coach Floyd and Derek. You know what I mean? I want to shout all of them out. My family, my friends, everybody coming out and support me October 1st. It's wartime, man. It's wartime. I'm excited. Been in camp, training hard, just ready, man. Ready to go to war.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know. Like you say, man, you stay ready so you don't have to get ready. So I know you're always in camp, particularly with your coach, Coach Floyd Seymour,
hmm
and y'all have been working hard. I know that there was like one point that Coach Floyd told me that you be running and you'll be going over there by the bridge. It's over by the MGM National Harbor. So you be doing running over there at the bridge and stuff like that. So that gets you, well prepared and as far as like, stamina, endurance, and things like that. But like you said, you be, pretty much mixing things up when it comes to stepping in the ring because, you have like a little regiment where you can have one style and then you could switch it up in a couple rounds to another style and then, break things down to another one. So your opponent doesn't even know what you could be doing in round by round.
Yeah, so this fight, we ain't changed too much. The same, we going to war, same thing. Just be smarter, no headbutts. Take him down the deep waters, and hopefully he could swim.
Yeah, because in that first bout there against Sagawa, for me, I think it was more of like you kind of switch things around that you were able to work on the inside with them, but also you pretty much like had your distance. You were gauging the distance fairly well also, because you were pretty much like sticking with the jab, while backing up. And one of the things that I kind of like want to see in fighters is like, I know that you could be the aggressor at times, but how do you fight off your back foot? Because sometimes you could be able to catch your opponent off guard if you
Yeah,
know how to fight off your back foot, you
makes
know. So sometimes I see like going to the ropes, but at least you're jabbing, you're keeping active, you're moving, you're moving your head around, you're switching styles up. So he has to think first before he could even try to attack. And even if he does attack, then you got something waiting for him.
yes, people know me for being an aggressor fighter. You know what I mean? In the King Tug fight, I showed all of that, aggressive and boxing, all that. So I got all the arsenals, I got all the weapons, got 7 styles, and we going to war October 1st, and I'm ready. You know what I'm saying? Ready for it. We ready for anything. Right?
Oh yeah. Most definitely, most definitely. October 1st, Entertainment and Sports Arena in Washington, D.C., Kobe and Soldier Breedy against Suleiman Sagawa. And, going back to, your history, like you said, you did have your fight against King Tug Suk Yambayar. And, a lot of people kind of like got familiar with you from that particular fight. And so, going through those various styles that you were talking about, like that kind of like says that, hey, you're a very versatile fighter and that you have multiple styles and multiple ways that you could beat your opponent. So here against Sagawa, it looks like you want to continue to go over or try to show those styles so that people could see like how many talents you actually have in the ring.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we going, like I said, we're going to war. Whatever Coach Floyd see the opening, see what me want me to do, I'm gonna do it. But our goal is to win every round. You know what I mean? We go in there, dominate, win every round, and spectacular. And we're gonna show the world who Corporate Soldier Breedy is. And I'm here, and I'm ready to go to war with anybody in 126.
Gotcha. And that was a great little cue there for mentioning your coach because we got the coach coming in, joining in here right on cue, man. Coach Floyd Seymour in the building. What's going on, Coach?
Good. How you guys doing, man? Yo, sorry I'm like a little 5 minutes late, 6 minutes late, but ripping and running, man, on Sunday.
Oh yeah.
How's everybody doing?
Oh, we all good here, man. We all good. Talk with the soldier about his upcoming fight, rematch against Sagawa, and talk about the multiple styles that you've taught him over the course of his professional career and how that translates to the ring where there's multiple ways that he could beat his opponent, or it's like multiple things that his opponent has to watch out for. Once he gets up from the stool and gets ready for the next round, it's like, well, I've seen this style in the previous round, but I'm not seeing it now. Now what do I do? So it's like
Right.
you're giving, he's giving his opponent like multiple things that he has to think about because he already saw something else the previous round, but he's not seeing it this round. So now what?
Correct. And the thing about it, that's kind of like what Floyd Mayweather does. That's kind of why he's so good at what he do. Boxing is a science, man. Boxing is a science. Anybody can fight. Anybody get in there and just fight. Thinking, how can you fight? Thinking on your feet. With the soldier can bring the pressure. You know what I'm saying? He's coming to war. He's coming for war. That's another thing. And now, number 3, he got his ammo with him. You know what I'm saying? He's bringing his weapons. All he got is weapons. Machine guns. He coming packed. So not to put too much out there, but I think this is going to be a good look for Corby and Breedy, for the soldier. People that ask me, after the King Tug fight, what happened? A lot of stuff was going on internally in our camp that we had to make some changes. So we look at getting by Suleiman. Definitely, we getting by him. I mean, this kid. And we're not even looking at no other fight before him. Mm-hmm. He is the main one. He is the one, I think, right now that's standing in our way of actually going out there And I think this is a hometown fight. This is a good fight for the crowd, for the DC crowd, for the DMV, to see the soldier and really what he can do. Because it's been some time now. I can't tell you. What is it? Today we went running on the bridge. He had to jump off the bridge and swim after a boat. We're doing crazy stuff. He can't. When I say run the Woodrow Wilson Bridge, what people are diving off the bridge? He's a soldier, man. This kid is crazy. Last night he slept in a tree at the gym. That's called alert. He has to be alert at all times. So Suleiman, he better be ready this time around. Because this time around, ain't no joke. It ain't no joke, man. It's really, really gonna happen. We're really going to war on this.
Yeah.
First and foremost, before I even go, I gotta say my condolence to Buddy Harris. Okay, Buddy, man, that was my guy, man. I've been knowing Buddy for past almost 20 years, man. Dusty was like 5 or 3 years old. That's how long me and Buddy's been close, and it's so sad to see tragic stuff happen to one of ours. So, I almost broke down and started crying yesterday for Buddy because that's my dog. Everybody in this DMV loves that dude, man. He does so much for the people. He does so much for the kids. He does so much for people. It's like, where's this senseless stuff coming from? You know what I'm saying? It's just crazy, So I really want to send my condolences to his wife, his family, all the friends, this is the second death for this year for our boxing family, for, Big G.
Mm-hmm.
Buddy, our community, we got to stay tight, man. I really just had to break into Kobe's little interview and say to get that off my chest, because that's going to be bothering us for the next couple months, because we just saw Buddy a week ago, last week.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and he was out there, with his son, a couple of days ago, and for me and I told Kobe this, I was like, I woke up, today, and I saw the news, and I'm like, what? And it was just like, hit me real hard. It's like you said. Buddy has done so much for the DC community, the boxing community. I think he was like a Muhammad Ali Award recipient at one year, and for something like this to happen, you really don't want it to happen at any time. And for it to happen at this point, it's like you said. It's absolutely senseless that someone would go ahead and do something like that.
Yeah, he's touched so many people, man.
Yeah,
he's touched so many. I would not see Buddy in months, and when I do, hey Floyd, what I got for you? I'm like, go ahead, buddy. That's my dog. It's my people's. It's like genuine people. That's why it's so sad and it hurts, But I won't break down on the air right now. It's just sad.
Yeah,
it's my brother. We lost a good one.
Definitely.
Anyway, let's get back to task at hand, Suleiman.
Yeah.
Suleiman. Hey, Kobe.
Yo.
You already heard his heart beating, right? Kobe's been hearing this guy heart beat every day in the gym, man.
You late, man. We did all that.
I just said I'm just letting him know. We've been hearing. He's been hearing shit. We've been hearing.
You dropped me a long late, man. So we've been doing all that.
Okay. Question.
Hey, like you said, Coach Floyd and Soldier, you go into war.
Hey,
and,
man, when they say I'm going to war, man, they think I'm playing. I'm right here. I'm right next to the Army base, man. I'm right here by Indian Head Army base, dog. They be doing the bombs, creating the bombs and tank trucks over there. I'm right here, man. I'm with my troops. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I feel you on that. And when you go to war, you actually have to prepare for war. And when you prepare for war, like you said, you got the weapons. And for me, you have the tanks, you got the bombs, you got the machine guns, you got the knives, you can have, a small gun, 22s or whatever it is. So you got to have multiple weapons. And in the ring, you have multiple styles. So, you can have one style, you switched up to the next, you switched up to another one. So those are the weapons that you have once you step into the ring. Because, hey, sometimes, if you can't get them with one weapon, you can definitely get them with another one, So that's the thing about it.
Mm-hmm.
It's gonna happen, man. It's gonna happen October 1st. October 1st. Be there. Telling y'all, be there, man. Be there. And y'all gonna see the best of Kobe Breedy, Soldier. See the best of Soldier Breedy.
I'm gonna get a dog. I'm gonna get a dog tag named. I'm gonna get a dog tag October 1st.
Hey, that you know what, that would be something right there, man. That could have been something, start up, have a dog tag doing that,
Well, we need to get a dog tag, man. We gotta get a dog tag for the weekend.
I mean, we have our we have our, what is it, shirt, fight shirts. We need to start getting dog tags with these guys' names on it. That's what.
Yeah.
Dog tag with the name on it. Another one bite the dust. And really, I just watched Shakur Stevenson fight. And Shakur's my man. I like Shakur. And what I told Kobe is, like, a lot of people really don't know how good you really are. Only the people who know it is those elite fighters, like the Russells, like Shakur, like Tank, like Sean Porter, like Lamar Peterson. These guys, and everybody's world champions.
Yep.
They and all of the other fighters down below, they know how good this guy really is. And for him to be in the ring with a dude like Shakur or Tank and going round for round with these guys in the past, and they're like this. Now, a lot of these guys are over here when Kobe is still grinding. That's cool. But I tell Kobe, and the thing about it is, when it comes to the business and life, you earn it, and you appreciate it more. Mm-hmm. You appreciate it more because you work for it. You know what I'm saying? Yours might come later in life, but when it comes, it ain't going nowhere. Because all the hard work, man, dedication. Like Floyd say, hard work. Dude, this morning, I really did not want to go on that daggone bridge this morning, man. Dude, I got there like 2 a.m. I met this guy on the bridge, and I had a haircut this morning, and I'm going to go on speeding trying to get to the bridge. Coach, where you at? On my way. Where you at? Man, I'm already waiting on you at the bridge. Hell. We got to go all the way over that bridge to come back. And I'm on a bike. And he's running, and he's still beating me on a bike. Because I can't get up the MGM Hill. He's running by me laughing. But I'm just showing the determination. You know what I'm saying? Hard work, man. It was cold. It's like, 52 degrees today, man, this morning. It's cold. Mm-hmm. And we still grinding in the cold, bro. Doesn't matter. I mean, once October 1st come around, when we get in the ring with Suleiman, you can see something, man. Round after round after round, Kobe is gonna be grinding and grinding and grinding. That's what it's gonna be. That's what it's gonna be. For sure. No letting up on action.
And like you were saying there, you're here in the the DC area, and being in the DC area, having all of these fighters, talented fighters, like you were mentioning, like the Tank Davises, the Russell brothers, Lamont Peterson, but also going abroad, going to work with Sean Porter, and I could name multiple other fighters. Of course, you had a young fighter there, Jalil Hackey. He working with him as well. And Shakur Stevenson, of course, around the Alexandria area, so you have a lot of fighters here from Virginia to DC, Maryland, all the way Capitol Heights, or up to Baltimore, you know what I mean? And all of those fighters work with Soldier, and they see the talent in them. So now it's time to bring that talent out and just show them, first with the Suleiman Sagawa fight on October 1st, that Soldier Breedy is going to be coming in the featherweight.
Then all the featherweights have to look out. We're coming for these featherweights. We're coming. I'm not even going to talk about those super bantam, no light, super lightweight, or no bantam lightweight. No, we just going for the featherweights. We just going for the featherweights. 126 guys. Everyone, you have a title, look out, because we're coming for it. That's it. That's that simple. We're coming for it.
Most definitely. And you know, for me, you know, it's also, you know, about, you know, getting the word out, you know, just in the DC area. And I know, you know, me and Coach Floyd, we've been talking about it, you know, for, you know, few years now. That we gotta not just, you know, get like, you know, the whole of DC involved, but we gotta get the Caribbean community involved, you know, given that, you know, soldiers from Barbados, you're from the Bahamas, 242, my family's from the Bahamas, you know, so, you know, we gotta get the Caribbean community involved. So we gotta, you know, definitely spread the word out, you know, as far as like, you know, this particular fight is concerned. But after, you know, Soldier, you know, gets through the bout here with Suleiman Segal, like you said, you know, pretty much the sky's the limit.
I think it's going to happen though. They're going to have to take notice. The world going to have to take notice. And it's not even just Caribbean. The world's just going to have to take notice. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I'm not just sitting here saying that because Kobe is my fighter. I'm saying that because I know the grind and determination this kid put in. You know what I'm saying? I know the work he puts in. You know, when he's in the gym and I bring some lions to the gym and cheetahs, and he got to fight these lions and cheetahs, he got to go to work. You know what I'm saying? I mean, when I got to put him on the highway, he got to run that beltway from exit 3 down to exit 29 or exit 9. People don't know. I mean, he has to put in the work. You know, when we don't go to a club, and when guys in the club and he's up late at night running, he has to put that work in. 2 o'clock in the morning, we're in the gym training, he has to put the work in, and he's putting it in. That's almost like what Mayweather says all the time. When they sleeping, we're training. When they training, we're training. When they're eating, we're training. That's just the way it is, man. You know, but I mean, you know, Suleiman will see. He'll find out. He'll see what it is.
Yeah, no doubt. Now, Kobe, man, you know, like we were saying, you're coming from, you know, Barbados, and I know that you know, have like a good, you know, good little following there from Barbados, but you know, we also, you know, trying to work on getting a following from, you know, others within the Caribbean community, not just in, you know, the DC area, but beyond. So, you know, is there like, you know, anything that you want to do in order to have that connection, you know, grow? I know that, you know, there was like a while back you were talking about, hey man, you know, one day I want to get Rihanna to bring me out, you know, in the ring walk and stuff like that. Like, is there like, you know, any other connections or, you know, people within the community that you talk to, or like, you know, with the consulate that could be, you know, here in the DC area or something like that?
Nah, I mean, we got a lot of people that we know, me and Floyd know, connecting. You know, we just taking it one day at a time. You know, just keep winning, keep grinding to the top, and all of them gonna come knocking on my door.
Oh yeah, without question that. And you know, like I was saying, you know, campaigning there in the featherweight division, you know, there has been, you know, recently a lot of turnaround within the featherweight division. You know, particularly with one sanctioning body, and you know, you're talking about, you know, working with the Russells, and I know that, you know, Gary Russell Jr. had suffered an injury, shoulder injury, which, you know, kind of like affected him with the bout against Mark Magsayo, and he ended up, you know, losing that belt by decision to Mark Magsayo, and then Mark Magsayo's next fight, he ended up losing the belt, you know, to Ray Vargas. So that was a whole lot of turnaround there, you know, with that. But you know, also, you know, you have news about, you know, what's, you know, trying to happen with WBA, Leo Santa Cruz and Lee Wood. They're trying to see if they could get that fight going together. And also you have, you know, a former champion at super bantamweight coming up in Brandon Figueroa, you know, to 126. So, and also you have someone that also has worked around like here in the area, Isaac Dogbe. That's a contender, you know, once again at 126. So there's like a lot of activity there in the featherweight division. And we just gotta make the moves to get Cobia in the mix within that, within those top parts of the featherweight division, within the next few months or so.
One fight at a time, boss. All we doing, taking care of this guy.
October. Yeah, we just worried about October 1st right now. You know what I mean? Looking past nobody. You know what I mean? We know when we go to war, we focus on the target. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? When they say engage, when Floyd say engage, I'm engaged. And that's it. October 1st, engaged.
Most definitely. Like I said, October 1st, Entertainment and Sports Arena, Beltway Battles Round 3, Kobe and Soldier Breeder against Suleiman Sagawa, getting it in for the rematch. And like I said, just having you put in that position, having you, pretty much like have that bout there within the local crowd, within the, folks within the DC area, DMV and all of that. So you'll be definitely representing there for the DMV and the Caribbean community. So, we gotta, get the folks to come out October 1st for this particular bout. So, we got a lot to look forward to on Saturday night. Definitely a lot to look forward to on Saturday night.
Definitely.
Man, want to thank Source. Thank you guys one more time for inviting us. I know we missed like 2 weeks in a row, but we was just training, man. Just mental. Huh?
Right. I said we grinding.
Just grinding.
No doubt,
get mental, right? But like I said, one more time, I want to thank the Source. I want to thank the promoters of Promoters Fight. Rising Star Promotion. One more time, sending our condolences out to Dusty, and his dad and the family, a buddy, Derek, management, Derek out there, Curry, and everybody else. Just want to let everybody know what's up, and we're ready, man. All the hard work is in. All the hard work is in, man. No more hard work. He ain't got to go swim with the sharks no more. That's done. Over in the Potomac, he has swim the Potomac all the time.
We camping out right now.
Yeah.
Nobody like swimming in Potomac. Nobody like that, John. So he was in the Potomac for a while, bro.
We camping out.
Gotta be ready.
Camping out, hibernating right now.
Yeah. You don't have to jump off of the bridge and dive into the
last bridge jump this morning, man. We ain't jumping bridge no more. Last bridge jump this morning. The next thing we going to where Suleiman is from. What part of Africa he's from? We going over there, bro. We take him back home, bro. In the jungle, going hard. You know what I'm saying? Suleiman's gonna get ready to go to war, man. He'll bring his cane, bring his stick, bring everything, because him and his trainers, they can need it. They can need it. Make sure bring that cut man too.
Yeah.
Please bring your cut. Yeah. Bring that cut guy, because blood can be all over the place, and it ain't no joke. I mean, it's a fight. We're in there for a fight. It's not, people don't play boxing, it's a fight. We come in there for a fight. So make sure I bring his cut man and bring all his equipment and gauze and glue and tape and get all of that together. You know what I'm saying? 'Cause we can be ready.
Yeah, most definitely. Like you said, I guess, you're going to have a soldier over there in Uganda, where Cigar was from, and have him prepared there. So you're bringing in everything possible, to have him prepared and zeroed in on the target. Like Soldier said, he zeroed in on the target in Suleiman Sagawa. So October 1st, Beltway Battles Round 3, Kobe and Soldier Breeder against Suleiman Sagawa, y'all. Make sure
unfinished business, buddy. Unfinished business, sir. That's what we're doing. We didn't finish it last time. We got to finish it this time.
Yeah,
unfinished business.
No doubt, man. So big ups to you coming in here, Soldier, Coach Floyd. Always a pleasure for y'all joining in here.
Appreciate
and definitely looking forward to seeing y'all on Saturday night.
All right, man. Appreciate it,
man.
Thank you.
Yeah,
thank all everybody, DMV fans. Please be there October 1st. It's going down. It's going down. All right. I'm out.
I'm out.
Nope. All right.
All right.
So there y'all go, man. Coach Floyd in the building. Kobe and Soldier Breedy in the building. They, like I said, they're in there. You know what's going on. They know the target. Zero in on the target. Suleiman Sagawa. So they're definitely going to be ready October 1st for that event there. Like I said, Beltway Battles Round 3 coming up at the Entertainment and Sports Arena in Washington, D.C. And I guess like we had discussed earlier, we had the news that the father of Dusty Hernandez Harrison, Buddy Harrison, transitioned on a Saturday. Just very tragic news of what happened over in Southeast DC there on Saturday, and I like I was telling Soldier and Coach Floyd, I'm like I didn't even like get the news until this morning. And once that hit, I was like, "Yo, this is very very bad and sad news." And some I've talked with a few people within the DC boxing community about it. And it's like it was like absolutely senseless that someone would go ahead and do that. You know what I mean? Real quick, live shout out to D-Ray Promotions in the building, joining us here with the Boxing Source, a live podcast. Of course, this podcast will be available via audio on iTunes, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, Spotify, multiple audio outlets there. But shout out to D-Ray Promotions joining us here on the Boxing Source. And like I said, with Buddy Harrison transitioning yesterday, and like Coach Floyd said, that's another figure in the DC boxing community that we lost. As earlier this year, Gary Russell Sr. Transition, and that was one that really affected me because I had been talking with Gary Sr. For years, and every time I speak with him, it was always a pleasure to speak with him. So and Coach Floyd talks about like how much that Buddy Harrison has been to the DC community and the boxing community specifically. And like I said, I mean, I was just out there for a media day for this event on Thursday, and you had Dusty there, you had his trainers there, you had his ad there, all of that. And I mean, that just really, really, hit me hard on that. And I had talked with like I said, the PR team reference to the news, and they said, they plan on continuing with that fight card. So like I said, you'll have Kobe Soldier Breedy against Suleiman Sagawa. You'll have other local fighters involved in it, including Anthony Peterson that will be involved in this. You'll also have Greg Sharpshooter Outlaw that will be involved in this. A couple of other fights will be part of that card as well. So definitely for those that hadn't gotten tickets yet for this, that are in the DC area or abroad, come in and support. So definitely going to have a good set of action-packed fights for that. And I do have interviews stored in through the YouTube channel with Greg Sharpshooter Outlaw, with Anthony Peterson, and yes, I did speak with Dusty Hernandez Harrison on Thursday before that tragic news came down. So you have all of that content there on the YouTube channel. But like I said, Beltway Battles Round 3, October 1st, Entertainment and Sports Arena, Washington, D.C. Be sure to see if you can come in and support. So with that, we have more that we have to talk about. Reference to action that did take place over the weekend You did have an event Friday night that was featured on ESPN, and you also had action on Saturday overseas with the heavyweight bout that took place between Joyce and Joseph Parker. So we're going to be breaking both of those fights down, starting with what happened on Friday night with Shakur Stevenson going against Robeson Conceição. Shakur Stevenson undefeated, had his win over Oscar Valdez in April to become the unified champion at super featherweight. But of course, you had the news that's coming in that that he came into the weigh-in overweight by 1.6 pounds and didn't really have any intention of shedding that 1.6 pounds. And when they had like a little bit of an interview after that, he said that he tried to strip down as much as he possibly could in order to get the weight down, and he just he really couldn't do it. I see also in the live chat here with the D-Ray Promotions, you have also Jihad Tucker that was part of the card. They're over in Newark, as he is 9-0. He did have a win over Jose Luis Sanchez by unanimous decision. It was pretty much a near shutout there by Jihad Tucker there in that particular fight card. Back into the Shakur Stevenson Robeson Conceição fight. Like you said, Stevenson, tried to get the weight down and say, hey, I just couldn't do it. Conceição was kind of like countering, saying that, hey, I going into this weigh-in, I was, overweight too, but I was able to shed the pounds down and be able to make weight. So you had the bout, and the titles were not on the line for Shakur Stevenson. They were on the line for Robeson Conceição. Conceição said, you know what, I'll take, additional money for the penalty that Shakur Stevenson had for coming into this bout overweight, and went forward with this bout. So a lot of people are looking forward to seeing what Shakur Stevenson was going to do in this bout. I was, pretty much in tune to see what Shakur Stevenson was going to do in this bout. As yes, I did name Shakur Stevenson at number 9 in the current Boxing Source pound for pound top 10. So yeah, definitely wanted to see how he would do here against Robeson Conceição, given what Conceição was doing against Oscar Valdez in their bout last year. And that, he was doing this thing against Oscar Valdez for almost like half the fight or something like that. And then all of a sudden it just, went away and couldn't really, see what was going to go down for that, and with that being said, he still was able to, have this position to, get back in and face Shakur Stevenson after, turning around and getting a win over Xavier Martinez earlier this year. So that got him, back into the race to be a contender for Shakur Stevenson. But Stevenson was out there, seeing if he could do his thing. Like I said, hometown, Newark, New Jersey, homecoming. And, for me, I was looking for Shakur to shine. But, I think it was two elements to this particular bout for me. One, there were moments that Shakur kind of like showcased his skill, showcased his accuracy when it came to his offensive output and things like that. And, like I said, he was able to score knockdown in the 4th round in this particular bout. But also, I felt like he had a little bit left out there where he would have to make adjustments to the awkwardness of Conceição and the tactics of Conceição. While Shakur Stevenson was able to work, the body and going up top, but it just didn't seem like he was able to put things together in order to I would say finish off Conceição. And for me, also, when Conceição goes in for the clinch, like got to be able to do a little bit more to work off the clinch and things like that instead of just saying, hey, I'm gonna dip down and then try to rise back up. Because yes, Shakur Stevenson did have a point removed for doing a shoulder takedown of Conceição in this particular bout. But for me, I think that there's got to be a couple of things that either his trainer or being in the camp, he's worked with multiple fighters. We just mentioned that Kobe Soldier Breedy has worked with Shakur, but also he's worked with Terrence Crawford. When Terrence Crawford teaches him multiple things there, while he's in camp. Sometimes over at B&B, sometimes it could be possibly in Colorado Springs or something. But to have those different elements, that would kind of like make him more of a complete fighter. In that, okay, if my opponent does this, this is what I could do in order to adjust and then make it to where I'm back into having the advantage. So I think that Shakur Stevenson has like a little bit more to work on in reference to that type of thing, as far as like guys that could be roughhousing and kind of like coming forward. Maybe they might not move their head a little bit. It might be like an Oscar Valdez, but sometimes it could have enough experience to like get through what Shakur Stevenson does when he's like at a distance and then get up close. So for that, the fight did go through the distance, was a unanimous decision win there for Shakur Stevenson. And yes, there was a couple of rounds that Robson Conceição did win. Pretty much like after the middle portions of the fight, you saw Conceição be a little bit more successful with the jab and coming forward a little bit more. So I think that Stevenson has to work on that a little bit. Some have kind of like said that he has been one of the better defensive fighters in the sport. But Conceição, having an amateur background, being a gold medalist himself, he kind of like had some of those type of skills to where he could really compete there. But with Shakur getting the win, those titles are vacant. He's moving up to lightweight. And going into the live discussion there, I do have a question in reference to the lightweight division. It says there from a D-Ray Promotions that who could be next for Devin Haney, the undisputed lightweight champion, after he faces George Kambosos Jr. in the rematch. Could it be Lomachenko or could it be Shakur Stevenson? Well, to answer that particular question real quick, circles are like, it might not be either one of them. Devin Haney has been at 135 for a while, and I've been to the two of the three fights that he had been involved in 2019. That took place in the MGM National Harbor in the DC area, and then also the theater at Madison Square Garden. And the one that he won at the theater in Madison Square Garden, he was basically the top contender for the WBC belt at that point. And at that particular time, after that fight where he scored the win, I had asked him then in 2019 that are you having your plans to move up in weight, because his frame is to where he can easily be at 140 pounds at minimum, and then maybe later on go to 147. But at that time, he, didn't necessarily, say that he wanted to be up there at 140. He wanted to pursue the bout at the time against Vasyl Lomachenko, who had eventually, who had became the WBC champ at that point, been unified champ, and became franchise champ. So now, fast forward to now, Devin Haney did what he had to do to eventually fight for the undisputed championship against George Kambosos. Went ahead and did that. Has another fight against George Kambosos, part of the deal. So he's going to do that, October 15th in Australia. And reports are that he has an option on a third fight. Well, I'm thinking that option on that third fight is not going to be either Lomachenko or Shakur Stevenson. It's not going to be Shakur Stevenson because, next year that'll be Stevenson's first full-fledged fight at 135 pounds. So he's not going to go right after the undisputed champion. Now, if he was able to make weight, fight, and win against Coach Cesar and then move up, then he might have a case. But now, I don't think that's, in the cards. And I don't think that Top Rank would want to necessarily have those two, Devin Haney and Shakur Stevenson, clash there at 135 pounds. So I'm thinking that Devin Haney is going to move up. And one other person has said this. Devin Haney's going to move up to 140. And before he competes for a title or anything like that, he may have a fight against Teofimo Lopez. Yeah. So I'm seeing possibly Devin Haney versus Teofimo Lopez, given what Teofimo Lopez could or will. He's planning to have that fight on, I think it's December 10th over in New York City. That's going to be after the Heisman Trophy presentation because, he, for a couple of times or a couple of years, he had been featured by ESPN and Top Rank after the Heisman Trophy presentation. But this time it's going to be a main event. So they're looking to kind of like solidify Teofimo Lopez there on December for a main event. And then he goes through that fight, has that fight, wins that fight. He stays there at 140. Devin Haney defeats George Kambosos Jr. once again. And then he will move up to 140 pounds. And you would have Devin Haney versus Teofimo Lopez at 140 pounds. That could be a really, really big event. Now, I don't know if it, could be for a title or whatever. Depends on what happens with the WBO version of the 140-pound title, with Josh Taylor. If he's still, is going to keep that 140 belt there. He's pretty much given all of the other belts away. And we already have like new champions at 140 pounds, with the titles that he's already vacated. So, but with the WBO, you still have to see what happens with that. We had the talk that he was going to have the rematch there against Jack Catterall, but remains to be seen. Haven't had any solid details on that. So we got to see what happens with that WBO version of 140. But yeah, back to the thing with Devin Haney. Like I said, he may go ahead and just move up to 140. It's getting really difficult now these days for him to cut down to 135. And, from, my thoughts, if that's the case, I mean, don't be surprised if maybe he might not make 135 for October 15th. Don't be surprised. I say he could still make it for this particular bout, but I'm just saying it's not within the realm, or it's within the realm of possibility that he might miss weight here for his bout against George Kambosos. I hope not. I hope he just makes weight, beats Kambosos again, and just has that defense as the undisputed champion at lightweight. Then he'll move up to super lightweight and have the status of having that undisputed championship at 135, which puts him up there in the top rankings for at least the WBO and stuff like that. So you do have that. But going back into the thing with Shakur Stevenson, like I said, he's making it clear that he's moving up to 135. I feel like he's going to have one particular fight at 135 first. We're still in September. Not sure if they want to try to fit in a fight for him at 135 before the end of the year. I don't think that there's enough open dates for that, because now you have Shakur Stevenson. He's a main event guy, so they have to set up something where he's the main event. So there might be a little bit for a little bit of time for Shakur Stevenson before he has his next event. But if it is going to be Lomachenko, we got to see what happens with Lomachenko. He's supposed to be fighting at the theater at Madison Square Garden on October 29th. But, if they say that, hey, we feel like Shakur Stevenson could be up there and face Lomachenko at 135, then you might have that announcement that Stevenson and Lomachenko will fight next year. Could be around like April of next year. Who knows? But with that being said, could have had Shakur Stevenson, defend those titles, but since he didn't make weight, those titles are now vacant in the super featherweight division. So that opens up things at super featherweight. So now you probably could have Oscar Valdez competing for one of those belts. Who knows? It could be there for the WBO or whatever it is, or we could see what else happens with the WBC. You have O'Shaquie Foster there also, as a top rated contender for the WBC rankings. So maybe they could try to fit him in against maybe Oscar Valdez or another contender there in the WBC rankings. But in the WBO, you have the mandatory there in Archie Sharp, that's undefeated 22-0. So you got to see about having him being involved in a vacant WBO title fight there later on down the line. So that's going to be the situation there with 130 pounds. And, for me, it's just, I'm kind of like bummed out in a sense because, after Shakur Stevenson's fight against Oscar Valdez, where he just pretty much showed out against Oscar Valdez, I said that it could have been I thought it would have been fairly easy for Shakur Stevenson to become undisputed at 130 pounds. But as we see, he just couldn't really stick there at 130 pounds. And I mean, it just didn't seem like that long ago that, he was at 126, but it was like a good little bit. He had been scheduled for a fight in March 2020, where he was going to defend at the time the WBO belt at 126, but, it didn't necessarily happen, of course, due to the lockdown. And then he had a fight a few months later, and a few months later, he was already at 129, for his fight. So for those past few fights, he had already been north of 126. And now, after about a few years or a couple years, here he is. Now he's already filling out, and now he's going to be campaigning at 135 pounds, So that's the thing there. Going into this thing with discussion, I guess, before going to the next topic here, live on the chat. Shout out to D-Ray Promotions once again. He mentioning two fighters here, Mr. Gary Russell Jr., former WBC featherweight champion, and Jamel Herring should meet at 130 pounds. Well, Jamel Herring already said that, he's hung up his gloves, after the fight against Shakur Stevenson in Atlanta, that it was a wrap for him. So he's not going to be campaigning and fighting anymore. And Gary Russell Jr., of course, has, recovered from his shoulder surgery. And, for me, like I said, I've been, following the Russell family for years. And, with the transition of Gary Russell Sr., that means that Gary Russell Jr. is more of a full-time trainer for his brothers, Antonio and Antoine. And, we had, Antoine's recent bout against Francis Barthélemy, and we got to see what's going to go on with Gary Antonio Russell, who's supposed to be, in position for a higher profile fight in his weight division. So if they have those fights coming up, it's going to be very, I think it's going to be from a time perspective, it's going to be difficult for Gary Russell Jr. To be going back in the ring. And, there was also, there were other suggestions about potential opponents for Gary Russell Jr. at 130 pounds. Anyway, but like I said, with him having that type of a schedule, I don't know like how he's going to be able to fit in and have a bout because they were having potential thoughts about maybe Gary Russell Jr. coming up to 130 pounds and fight Chris Colbert, but I'm doubting that particular bout would happen as well. I think Chris Colbert is being put in a position to fight someone else there at 130 pounds. So we're gonna see how that kind of like shapes out for Chris Colbert. So I mean that's what I got in reference to that particular suggestion there on the live chat, but. We had more in the card in Newark, New Jersey. You had Keyshawn Davis score a TKO victory over Omar Bahenda, and he said like after that fight that he wants to contend there in the division. He wants to be there at 135, competing at the lightweight division. And that he wants to eventually become a contender there. Like facing someone like Bahena, who, had about 30 professional fights up to that particular point. That was something. So you got to see, how Keyshawn Davis does. I mean, this is someone that, is there alongside Shakur Stevenson that is, somebody that, that he looks up to Shakur Stevenson in a sense, but, now looks like they're going to be in the same division. So we're going to see what happens first with Shakur Stevenson for high profile fights at 135. And we're going to see what happens with Keyshawn Davis at 135 pounds. 135 is looking like a very active division from this point until around this same time next year. Of course, you have Tank Davis, you have Ryan Garcia, you have Vasyl Lomachenko, and now you have Shakur Stevenson. Of course, Vasyl Lomachenko's there. With the top there at lightweight. I mean, you're going to have Frank Martin, who is supposed to be potentially the guy that could be facing Chris Colbert. You have, JoJo that's still out there. You have Isak Cruz that's been, becoming more and more popular with the fights that he's having. You have Michelle Ali Rivera also there. So, and Rivera's supposed to be fighting on October 15th, as told to us by his promoter, Samson Lukowitz. So there's a lot of action that's going to be happening at 135 pounds. That's for sure. That's for sure. You also had, as mentioned before, Jahai Tucker getting a decision win over Jose Luis Sanchez. Bruce Carrington, who's one fighter that we've had on the Boxing Source as a guest at one point. He did have a unanimous decision win over Jose Argel. So you had like a few or a good number of young fighters that were part of that card at the Prudential Center in Newark, New Jersey. Okay. Now, once to get into this fight that happened at heavyweight, all right? This fight had been, in the works and was supposed to be happening earlier this year. But, there was, I think, like a little bit of complications here and there when it came to Joseph Parker, as far as I've heard. But eventually, we eventually got to the point where we had this fight, Joe Joyce versus Joseph Parker. For me, this is for the top spot in the WBO rankings. People that said that, Joe Joyce was already like, the top rated contender there in the WBO, but he hadn't been formally announced as the mandatory challenger as of yet for the WBO belt. Of course, in 2020, he had his key win over Daniel Dubois, stopped Daniel Dubois, stopped Carlos Takam last year. Eventually, had his fight against Christian Hammer when that was supposed to be originally around the date for him fighting Joseph Parker. But he just said, you know what? I know we can't have this fight with Parker right now, but I still want to fight. So he got an opponent for him, Christian Hammer. He was able to go in there, fight Christian Hammer, eventually stop Christian Hammer. It was a fourth round TKO victory. Christian Hammer was already down, knocked down in the third round, and then was pretty much like thrown around the ring in the fourth round and whatnot. So, I mean, that was just as they say, easy work for Joyce in that particular instance. But now he had been going into the ring against Joseph Parker, of course, former WBO heavyweight champion Joseph Parker. Someone who had been at one point, even before he had fought for the WBO belt. He was a contender for the IBF title, but he, went ahead and went on the direction of facing Andy Ruiz for the vacant WBO title at the time. He was able to win the decision, became champion, WBO champ, eventually lost to Anthony Joshua in 2018. Also had a fairly close fight with Dylan White in 2018 and lost that too, but had a string of victories up to this particular point, including his quote unquote country rival in Junior Fall last year, and also fought Derek Chisora in two fights that were two, pretty close fights in that particular aspect as well. But those wins were wins, but they ain't Joe Joyce. And Joe Joyce, man, they're going into this fight. There were some people that were thinking that Joseph Parker was, like I said, a former world champion, had multiple big fights, had been part of, big atmospheres and things like that going into this bout against Joe Joyce, and that Joe Joyce didn't, necessarily have that type of, experience, so to speak, when it came to the professional ranks. That didn't matter. I said, like, for a while when that fight was made, I'm like, Joe Joyce is as said in the live chat, is a problem. I saw that with this fight, against Daniel Dubois. I thought that particular bout was something where you kind of like would have seen who would have been the next kind of real contender in the heavyweight division. And for him to basically beat Daniel Dubois with one punch, with the jab. And he was able to do that and wasn't really fazed by anything that Daniel Dubois was doing. I was like, oh man, his ain't looking good, And he had called out somebody in particular, after that particular fight. And in this bout, he was getting tagged a few times by Joseph Parker. But some people thought that Joseph Parker, with his movements or kind of like his mannerisms, his fighting style, would give Joe Joyce problems. But this was the time when Joseph Parker was at the heaviest he was at it for his entire career. Now, this is someone in Joseph Parker that is usually around 243 to around probably around that range, 243, 240, something like that. But in his last couple of fights, he's been up there, in weight, And with that being said, like here, he was at his heaviest at 255 pounds going into this particular bout. And I thought that was going to be a real issue there against Joe Joyce, because you're going to have to be able to move really well against someone like a Joe Joyce to, at least have a shot. Or if you really think that you got something that could really have Joe Joyce respect you, then maybe you got a shot. But if you can't really move him or affect him with your punches, he's going to eventually break you down. And that's what you had here in this bout. Joe Joyce is just, calm, cool, collected like he usually is. Eventually broke down Joseph Parker, had Joseph Parker cut, and it was just methodical. I feel like it was just a methodical beatdown by Joe Joyce, finishing them off with a left hook, putting them down to the canvas. As you for those that had watching live and you seen the caption or the photo caption, that was it for Joseph Parker. And so Joe Joyce, still undefeated, still there at the top of the WBO rankings. Now he is the interim champion, and he had no rush or no problems in calling out who he wants as his next opponent, Alexander Usyk. And he has called out Alexander Usyk since last year, pretty much, or 2020, and said that, hey, I want that fight with Alexander Usyk. Yes, they did compete in semi-pros, World Series of Boxing, where Usyk, pretty much like had the upper hand over Joe Joyce. But right now, it's Joe Joyce that's like, fundamentals, all that type of stuff. As far as like, what he's been able to do in the ring. And no one has been, basically, able to, stop him, so to speak. No one's been able to stop him. It's like, hey, I'm going to do me, and I'm going to see if you could stop me from doing me. Okay? And if you're not able to do that, you're going to have some real issues. And for me, Joe Joyce is just somebody that is a real tough out for anybody in the heavyweight division, and that includes the champions, that includes former champions. Everybody that's out there is, really going to be, I would say, like, gonna have to deal with them, and somebody like a Tyson Fury. He has he would have issues. Anthony Joshua would have issues. Deontay Wilder would have issues. Alexander Usyk would have issues. Anybody that's within that top 5 or so would have issues with Joe Joyce. And like I said, I mean, we know about the deal with Alexander Usyk. On August 20th, he was able to get the victory over Anthony Joshua in the rematch. And so, with that being said, he's still there as a unified champion. And, he's looking to try to get a fight with Tyson Fury for the undisputed title. And Tyson Fury's like, man, well, I wanted to fight in December. I mean, you're going to be ready in December. And Usyk's like, hey, man, I'm not ready for December. So, hey, Usyk has, another bout that would come later this year. And Joe Joyce has been waiting for a good little while. I know that there's another contender out there for the IBF, but for those that had seen that contender in the IBF as part of that card for Alexander Usyk versus Anthony Joshua on August 20th, he's not ready to have a world title shot. And I'll tell you this right now, they definitely wouldn't want to have that contender going up against Joe Joyce. So they need to kind of like put that guy off to the side there a little bit. You know what I mean? And kind of see if he could sharpen up on a few things. So with that being said, Joe Joyce is the mandatory in the WBO. We got to see if the WBO, if they have a convention scheduled where they'll usually say, formally announce who the mandatory challenger is for each division, and then see, if they just say, hey, Usyk, you've had, 2 fights with Anthony Joshua. You won the belt against Anthony Joshua last year, and you were the WBO mandatory at that point. Now you have a rematch against Anthony Joshua pretty much around a year later. It's gonna be about 12 months time. Uh, we gonna need you to defend that WBO belt. So we're gonna see what happens with that. If not, then he's gonna have to, go see about going forward and fighting Tyson Fury. I think that, I think that should happen. I think that people have been waiting to see if there could be an undisputed champion at heavyweight. We've had undisputed champions at multiple weight classes, 4-belt undisputed champions at multiple weight classes over the years, but we haven't had a 4-belt undisputed champion in the heavyweight division. And now we could potentially get that. I mean, we know that we clearly have a number 1 and a number 2 fighter in the heavyweight division in Tyson Fury, Alexander Usyk. Whether Fury's number 1 or Usyk's number 1, you pretty much have the other guy number 2. So you can have both of those guys fighting each other for the undisputed championship and be undisputed number 1 fighter. So we got to see like how that situates itself. But if Fury wants to be Tyson Fury, like he pretty much is at this point, saying that, he wants to fight Anthony Joshua. That remains to be seen. We'll see what happens within the next 24 to 48 hours because Fury's talking about there's some sort of deadline for Anthony Joshua to kind of like sign a contract or whatever it is. We'll see how that goes. But in the meantime, Alexander Usyk, Joe Joyce is coming. I'll just say that. Joe Joyce is coming. All right. And I know about, that Alexander Usyk is, yes, number 1 in the boxing source pound for pound rankings. That Alexander Usyk, yes, has defeated Joe Joyce in the World Series of Boxing. But Joe Joyce is kind of like sharpened his skills, so to speak, when it comes to breaking down his opponents, cutting off the ring against his opponents, getting his offense out there with his opponents. And even with the adjustments that Alexander Usyk makes in between fights, it's going to be something for him to, really get at Joe Joyce this time around. So I'm saying that Joe Joyce is going to eventually become a world champion here pretty soon. And he don't really have that much time as it is. We're talking about a Joe Joyce that's 37 years old. That's the thing that some people kind of overlook is Joe Joyce is there at 37 years old right now. So I mean he really don't have that much time there in the heavyweight division, so to speak. So I think that he's going to try to push to fight for a world title next year. So we're going to see how that goes. Other news that went down, I guess, in this particular card, you did have unified featherweight champion in the women's division there in Amanda Serrano going up against Sarah Mahfoud. There with like 3 of the 4 major titles in the featherweight division on the line. And Serrano, coming off of the exciting bout that she had there against Katie Taylor in Madison Square Garden, where that was a close bout that she ended up losing by decision. Here going up against Sarah Mahfoud, scored a unanimous decision victory there in that particular fight. And for me, that I guess that was Serrano just getting back into the thick of things. And that fight against Katie Taylor was a close fight, but it was also a brutal fight for both parties. And I think it might have affected Amanda Serrano a little bit. here in this performance against Sarah Mahfoud. So we got to see what could be next or in the near future there for um, Amanda Serrano, because she has been a multi division world champion. But the thing about it is that like you can be a multi-division world champion, but kind of like bouncing up and down in weight. She's been at from 2017 to now. She's been in the bantamweight, super bantamweight, lightweight, super lightweight, super flyweight, featherweight, and lightweight. Like bouncing up and down in weight classes. That's it doesn't matter like what level of competition it is. It doesn't matter like where you're fighting at. That's got to be something to try to do. And given where she is at, 13 years a professional, that has to account for something. So I really don't know what could be next there for Amanda Serrano in reference to this. They tried to push to have a rematch against Katie Taylor, but it just didn't necessarily work out. But after this fight that she's had, we're gonna see what the other direction would be for if it's another if it's a rematch with a Katie Taylor. I mean that could be it. For me, that's easily the most lucrative fight for Amanda Serrano at this point. So, I mean, it's just remains to be seen how that's going to go down. With that happening. So, I kind of like say that there's still like a little bit of work that she may need to do in order to either have a more success in a rematch against Katie Taylor, because there was a point where it almost looked like Katie Taylor could have been stopped. But that's the thing. So that's what I'm going to do. Or kind of like that's what I feel in reference to that particular thing there with Amanda Serrano. So I mean, you do have that. That kind of like goes through mostly what happened in that card, or at least some of the more notable news there in that card. So like I said, I'm looking forward to seeing what happens there when it comes to Joyce next year. If he's going to be in there as a contender there for a world title later on down the line, because he's, like I said, he's been there at the top of the WBO rankings for a good little while now. And so it's almost going to be time for him to like kind of cash in on that. With that being said, we know about the schedule next week locally here in the Washington, D.C. area, Beltway Battles Round 3. We did have Kobe Social Breedy here speaking alongside his trainer there, Coach Floyd Seymour. And Kobe Breedy is going to be facing Suleiman Sagawa in a rematch from the last Beltway Battles bout that was taking place in the same venue, Entertainment and Sports Arena in Washington, D.C. And of course, once again, saddened by the news of the passing of Buddy Harrison from yesterday. So, with that being said, pretty much like have everything that we kind of like covered here for this particular episode of the Boxing Source. We're going to be right back at it live next week after being around Beltway Battles Round 3. So we're going to have a summary of that particular event and look forward to other fights that are coming up in the schedule in October, including Chris Eubank Jr. versus Conor Ben, Sebastian Fundora against Carlos Ocampo. Those two fights are coming up October 8th. You also, do have, what's coming up on October 15th. undisputed championship at lightweight, Devin Haney versus George Kambosos Jr. You also will have the rescheduled bout, Clarissa Shields versus Savannah Marshall for the titles there at middleweight. And, of course, Michaela Meyer versus Alicia Baumgartner there at super featherweight. And at the Barclays Center in Brooklyn, Deontay Wilder versus Robert Helenius and Caleb Plant versus Anthony Durrell. So we got like a good amount of fights coming up for October that fight fans can look forward to, and the Boxing Source will be available to go over all of those fights as much as possible. So thank everybody for tuning in live, but also for those that have been listening and following the Boxing Source through the podcast, we thank you as always. Like I say at the end of every show, folks, the point of boxing is a hit and not get hit, not to stand and trade. On that note, folks, I'm out. Have a good evening, everybody.